feeling comfortable to be able to say like, hey, I need a breather, let's move these around, like, can we reprioritize? That has been such an important thing.
You did bring up that you have a problem perhaps with balance or putting a lot on your plate. And I'd like to dive into that a little bit more and get your perspective on essentially staying busy. I mean, it seems like you're doing quite a bit. I think you might even be more busy than me, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, honestly, I can't pinpoint when this started, but I've always liked being busy. And like, even, in a work sense, like when I finish something, I'm always looking, well, what can I do next? What makes sense to do next? And I think it's important to think like that, but it can definitely get you into trouble and have you like absorb things that maybe could be left for other people or could be left for later. And I also have a problem saying no to things that are good opportunities, So like someone asks, oh, do you want to present at this conference? Sure, of course I do. And so I get myself into these situations, and then maybe there's coming at all different angles, right? So maybe it's presenting, and then it's, finishing up the book, and it's, we have an exam coming up for the course, and then it's work stuff. So I won't pretend to have the solution for balance. I don't think I do it well. I think there are times where things are balanced, and then something comes along and shifts the balance, and it's a rough couple of weeks, months, until things get righted again. But I will say to me, it's been so important to have like a support network when I get into those situations. Especially, in the work sense, I have a really great relationship with my manager, and he often brings up the word balance when we talk for these reasons. But I don't think that, without having such an open line of communication and being able to be like honest about things and just work together on, maybe there's too many work deadlines all stacked up together, just feeling comfortable to be able to say like, hey, I need a breather, let's move these around, like, can we reprioritize? That has been such an important thing for me to get more comfortable with and start learning. And also just like pushing back, being better at pushing back on things. As I am probably very driven by deadlines, and I like knowing when things have to be done. And then I can, rearrange when I need to do everything so that I can make the deadlines and everything. And then, everything gets done, but it's very difficult. And then maybe I'm not pushing back on everything I can push back on. Sometimes I make a decision, maybe like, that one, I don't know if I can push back on that. And then, a week after the deadline, I'll get an email reminding people to do the thing. And I'm like, you see, I could have pushed back on that one, but I didn't. I rushed to get it done. And now look at me. So, I struggle with it. I'd love to hear how you approach it.
I also struggle with it. I think that something that I found is, I forgot who said it, but there's no static states in nature, right? The idea of balance in terms of like two plates on a scale or something like that it's truly not in balance if we look at things in the entire scheme of everything, right? Because there's wind, there's whatever, there's the earth is turning, there's just so much going on. And the idea that we can find something like that in our lives, I think is overblown. I think that like balance cannot come in the short term. Like there's like days we're going to have a lot of stuff. There's days where we're going to have nothing. And just trying to create a balancing act over the long term, 6 months, a year, where you're giving yourself enough time to recharge is really important. I also think of things not as balancing tasks, but balancing different types of activities, some that give me energy and some that detract from my energy. So for example, doing data science, coding, that depletes an energy tank of mine. I guess it's like cognitive focus. But if I'm doing something creative, if I'm making videos, if I'm talking to people, doing podcasts, that doesn't impede on my coding energy tank. And so I feel like I can do a lot of both of those things in a day and not feel completely worn out. But if I exhaust a bunch of the same energy tank in a day, I'm completely cooked. And finding these complementary activities or being involved in a bunch of different things for me has been sustainable because they don't exercise the same muscles. It's more of a difference across these things. I think that if I were to try to do a lot of similar things, if I do, for example, I do a couple podcast interviews and I speak in a conference, and it's just maybe 2.5 hours of total time, I'm done for like 2-3 days. My focus is shot, all this is done. But if it's like, hey, I did a podcast episode every day for the last, week and a half, and I coded a lot and did all these things, it doesn't feel like work to me. It just feels like they were all pushing off of each other to drive me forward. So I think choosing the activities that you do is really important. I'm also a big time scheduler, list user, whatever that might be. I have this Notion template that I use to run my entire life. That's like a database structure, and everything that I'm working on, I put it as in progress, and I like estimate how much time each of my individual tasks will take. And to me, that helps me just see everything that I have to do, because I think when you're doing something, it's not difficult usually, right? You're immersed in the work. But when you're thinking about all the stuff that you have to do, that is what makes it very difficult and stressful. And so just having a place where I know I didn't forget anything, where all of my stuff lives, and I can kind of export that out of my brain, has been something that's allowed me to achieve quite a bit more. I also will say that people think I work a lot more than I do. I think that there's tremendous value in working in times when you feel energized. And like, I work a lot of weekends, but I also will take off like a Thursday to go play golf. And that's, maybe one of the benefits of my schedule and the career path and the company that I work for. But at the same time, I think that part of that might show in your relationship with your boss, right? Is that you can ask for, you build respect, mutual respect, you build trust. And if you need extra time, you can fill that in some way. And there's that give and take, because they know you're going to rebound in a certain way, in a positive way. So I think that a lot of any advice that I would have, and I'm obviously not an expert in this as well, would be to try to understand yourself and what your limits are, just like you've mentioned, but also to adjust your lifestyle and adjust your working style and adjust your workflows so that it matches your energy levels and your capabilities. Again, if I was, if I was doing data science and I was doing a data science project, like for my work, and I was doing data science projects every week for YouTube, I don't think I would have a YouTube channel. Even though I would really like to do that. I think that would make incredible content. I just don't have the capacity to put that out there. And I know that that's a limitation of mine, and I'm okay with it.
No, I mean, I think that was really insightful for me, because I think, as you were saying, how you have these two different energy tanks. Well, I was thinking, I'm like, yeah, all the stuff on mine has been in the one tank. And so that's the reason why I get to this point where it's just because it's so overwhelming at times. It's just, everything's all in there and draining the same tank. I'll need to find out some other things to do. One thing I've been trying to be very good about it is like cooking every night. And so that's my me time. And then, taking a long walk during lunch, those are like my me times, my time to just reset. And I find that, having a walk in the middle of the day is kind of like resetting on the day. So be in the middle, reset. And then just trying to have a better, I guess, barrier at the end of the day. Like now we stop and it's cook dinner time, and get away.
Thanks for watching this clip. Luckily for you, I picked 2 more clips that I think you might really enjoy. Either watch those or maybe check out the full episode.